Alrighty, looks like we're broadcasting then. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paradigm Shift in Educational Comedy. I'm Dave Kelso, and today we're going to be discussing features and bugs and suggestions and so forth for the newly rolled out TSU or SU, as it's pronounced, like in the word tsunami, TSU NAMI, SU version 3.0. My opinion of it so far, overall, is pretty damn good. Lots of improvements, though with some things, this has been a bit of a double-edged sword. But TSU or SU, whatever you want to call it, is obviously a work in progress. As things move forward, there's going to be mistakes made, lessons learned, so on and so forth. Such is the case with the evolution and progression of, well, just about anything, really. Excuse me. My throat's just today. Anyway, though I will be making a newly updated 2016 version as far as, what is TSU, how does it work, etc., etc. This video is not going to be about that. This video is going to be for existing SU users and, kind of hopefully clearing up some confusion on things. And I've also had a bit of, back and forth with Sebastian Sobchak on some of my posts about this, and people have expressed their concerns. The first concern that was expressed, you see here how there's this new topic bar. We've got animals, arts, communities, entertainment, music, food, giving, health, humor, news, politics, science and tech, sports, style, travel, and nature. Some people are a bit annoyed that that is even there. Not so much annoyed that the topics exist, but that bar is just like plastered right up at the top there. Me personally, as far as that bar is concerned, I could take it or leave it. For me, it doesn't make or break anything. But for those who would really prefer that thing to go away, I would highly suggest to the SU staff that they put an option in the settings as for whether or not an individual gets to have that displayed on the header or not, so they can toggle that on and off. Or at the very least, maybe some kind of little icon in the corner over here or something for toggling that on and off. And then when it's off, maybe a little icon or something like up in the corner here, some really tiny non-intrusive thing that you can click on, and then magically, lo and behold, this header reappears. The create post button, when you click that, it is still buggy and glitchy. As you can see, there's this little micro box, and then when you click into that, oh, lo and behold, this thing just is not working properly. I'm sure they'll get around to fix it. For a while, the original way of being able to create posts directly from your feed was disabled, and there was just that create post button. So then we were forced to click feed. Just give that a moment. Okay, usually I'm in there already. I don't know why this is dragging ass. Come on, send me into feed. Okay. Here we go. It's loading. I promise you it does not normally load this slowly. There we go. At least not for me, it doesn't. Okay, so until they put that back on the main profile page, the profile feed, which in my little conversation with Sebastian, I had suggested he do that. And then within hours, it magically reappears. So I love that about Sue, the staff over at Sue and the CEO over at Sue actually give a fuck about their users, whereas Mark Zuckerberg over at Fascism Book couldn't give a rat's dick about what anyone thinks. So anyway, we click into here, and of course, you have the same box as usual. The add picture text has been replaced with a nice little photo icon thingy, and you can click that. You'll browse your drive. You can also toggle it to post to Twitter or not, whatever floats your boat. So that option is now back on the main profile feed, thank God. Groups are being converted to channels. The groups that were public groups are still visible when you click My Channels, which, by the way, in the little drop down option that's up here, just give this thing a second to load. Okay, in the little drop down thing right here, channels was listed in here for a very brief time, I noticed, but now it's not. Hopefully they put that back. But public groups have been converted into public channels, and instead of inviting people to join a group, you're just able to go ahead and follow a channel. Excuse me, follow and join, does effectively the same thing. I've never owned a public channel because before groups were subject to, pending administrative approval and et cetera, et cetera. But to the best of my understanding, the way the public channels are working now is, yes, technically there is still an admin, but there's no approval process or moderation options or anything like that now, as far as I can tell. People are just able to submit posts to the group and no big deal. As far as private groups, they still exist, but you either have to channel the ethers and contact Zaboobidi Baba to magically bestow upon you the list of private and closed groups that are not listed in the interface, or if that doesn't work, and it probably won't, you have to already know the URL. So, okay, Bull versus Government, that's one of the private groups that I'm in. So when I click into that, it has the same interface that it's always had. And, people can post to it and this, that, and the other. You can still invite friends and so on. But for the moment, you have to already have the address of the group notated down, because there's no way currently, I'm sure they'll fix this, but there's no way currently to actually get to the private groups anymore, not within a list or anything. Same thing for pending groups, any groups that are still pending. You're not going to be able to get to it unless you already know the URL. They've had this lock on it, even before this, to where if you created a closed group or a private group by accident, because when you're setting the status of a group as to whether or not it's public or closed or private, there wasn't a little pop-up box that came up that said, warning, these changes cannot be undone. Do you still wish to proceed? No such thing happened. So a lot of people did this accidentally, thinking that, if they changed their mind, they could always go back. only to be told by the SU administrative staff that, sorry, if a group is marked as closed or private, this cannot be undone and you will have to delete the group and recreate it, which, Sebastian, love you, man, but that's kind of lame. Hopefully they just convert the closed and private groups to public and maybe post a preemptive announcement about it, like, hey, in 2 weeks those are being converted, so if you don't want it to go public, then you might want to delete your group before that takes place, or something to that effect. Supposedly to create a channel now, because you can create channel, supposedly it no longer requires administrative approval. I have not putzed with that yet. We can check that out in just a moment. But first I want to go into just an existing channel just to demonstrate the layout of that. Alrighty, now within the channels, these are displayed. Popular is the default, and if you click that, you have the options of popular and most recent. Sebastian Zomchek, suggestion, please, sir. My suggestion is to give people the choice as to whether or not the default when they go in is popular or most recent. Me personally, I could give a rat's dick about what's most popular. I personally want to see what's most recent. So I'm always manually toggling that back, because things don't get popular unless attention is drawn to them. So I'd really rather just see what's most recent so that I can contribute to bringing visibility to things that I think are worthy of doing such a thing. A lot of people have also, well, okay, I wouldn't say a lot, but some people anyway, have also complained about the change in the color theme, that they really kind of got addicted to the green color theme and that they really want that back. My suggestion would be have a theme selector in settings somewhere. Do up a bunch of different, CSS themes. You can also, if you want to, make it so that you can have a user-defined CSS theme. So you have basically a configuration where you're seeing options for all the different, CSS lines, whatever the label is for the background, for the foreground, for this text, that text, logo, blah, blah, this, that, whatever. So that people can then go ahead and change those colors. If you wanted to, if you didn't want to do like a whole, color selector interface, you could just, have them put in the little HTML code for the color if you'd like. And, maybe have a few different selections as far as, TSU graphical logos that, might possibly go with it. You could, select between different color themes on that, the different graphics, and just have it to where people can put, pound sign and the, the HTML code for the different things and mess around with, CSS color customization so that people can have theirs the way they would like it, and thus eliminating all potential bitching on that. So if people want the old colors back, they can put them back themselves. And if they aren't willing to do that, then, well, they're just lazy, because it's not really that hard to look up what color codes go with what. As a matter of fact, using programs such as GIMP or Photoshop, obviously GIMP being free and open source, and Photoshop costing more than just a few bucks. When you do your color selection, you see where it says HTML notation. You could click on whatever color you want, and it will give you the HTML notation. Just make sure that when you put it in, you put a pound sign before that because that's the way it is in CSS and in the web, unless Sue makes some sort of thing where it says, okay, the pound sign is automatically assumed, so just put in the code without it. But for those of you who are like, oh my God, what is the HTML code? I do not know. I do not understand. I do not know where to find it. Both GIMP and Photoshop have this lovely interface right here, to where you can go ahead and, select that in a typical, color wheel style. You can click on all the different colors and the color you select is right here and you get it right to where you want. Boom, you've got the code in there. Simple matter of cut and paste or copy and paste. And both Photoshop and GIMP have that. GIMP is free. You can get that at gimp.org. It does everything Photoshop can do and then some. It's really badass and it costs you nothing. Moving on. Okay, create channel. I have not screwed with this yet. Now, I know I'm one of those people who created the accidental closed group. There was no pop-up box, and I was told by, through email by someone who worked at TSU, well, your chances of having it approved are better if A, it's not a niche group, and B, if it's closed or private instead of public, your chances will be better. Well, my shit still hasn't been approved, so much for that. And I've been seeing, I noticed that a lot of the groups that were authorized for public are actually niche groups and not general groups. So I forgot exactly who I had talked to, but I have no idea what they were on about. That ended up not panning out at all. My group was PSEC Media. And so that obviously has a pre-existing URL. So let's see what I can do as far as creating. Okay, let's see here. Create a channel. Verified by SMS, recent verification SMS. Verified by email, recent confirmation instructions. Registered for a minimum of 7 days. You may unlock the ability to create channels by fulfilling the following requirements. Okay, I'll do that later then, because obviously that looks like a bit of an in-depth process, and I don't feel like going through all of that at the moment. But I guess this is a replacement for the previous, administrative approval process sort of deal that they had before. As far as closed and private channels that are still pending, kind of like mine, I have no idea what they're going to do for that. If they don't do something about it in the very near future, of course, I'm going to be contacting the SUE technical support and putting in some inquiries and suggestions and ask, hey, what exactly is going on here? So another issue that was addressed or that was presented, if I'm understanding what they said right, please forgive me if I'm not, but basically they were saying that they really didn't like it, that when you click on the channels, or excuse me, the topics, channels fall within topics. That's the way the hierarchy works. You've got topics, and the channels fall under each one. So I just clicked health. Okay. Their main concern is that, as far as the best of my ability to understand, is they did not like the sort of content that was coming up. They were saying that health is nothing but Kevin Hilty, and I've scrolled through the health stuff here, and though there is I'm sorry, Kevin Hilty, Kevin Hinkle. What am I saying, Kevin Hilty? I'm freaking tired. I'm sorry. I woke up not too long ago. Kevin Hinkle. Okay. Yes, Hilty, Hinkle, all these freaking K's and H's and yes. Please excuse my mental brain farting there. Okay, so any freaking way, I'm scrolling through, and when I scrolled through earlier, yes, there was, the occasional Kevin Hinkle thing. Like, oh, see, there's a Kevin Hinkle thing right there. Okay, so there was the occasional Kevin Hinkle thing, but most of what I was seeing was not Kevin Hinkle. And, the way expressed it, they're like, health topic equals Kevin Hinkle exclusively. And I'm looking through and I'm like, okay, that's a bit of a freaking exaggeration in my opinion. Then they were also expressing the idea that, like, under entertainment and music and whatever, that, and of course, news and things like that, that there was a lot of mainstream stuff in there that, like, oh, I'm seeing, MTV and CNN and Fox and, the same as like on Facebook and, so on and so on. And like, to me, as far as, what comes up, I mean, let's face it, what comes up is what people post. And the news system has been designed to make it more efficient to track and access content, to provide more visibility, and to have a more easy and automatic and organic way for things to be organized rather than needing administrative Nazis to police everything. You know, they're looking to make a system that auto organizes but that works organically, that isn't a Naziistic, NSA, DARPA piece of crap like Facebook and many others, but that works organically according to the will of the community, and that it's going to flow in that direction. Now, obviously, like, we got Wu-Tang Clan here. Um, Wu-Tang Clan is obviously mainstream. Now, here's my other addressment to that issue. As far as mainstream people and organizations getting into TSU, fuck yeah. I mean, we do need that. Whether or not anybody likes it or wants to admit it, TSU is going to do much better the more mainstream people take it seriously. Because who follows mainstream people? Regular, average people like you and me. Regular, just average Joe Blows, follow, mainstream music, mainstream videos, so on and so forth. And, that brings more people into TSU when the mainstream people that they pay attention to were saying, hey, look, here's a service called TSU, and it really rocks. TSU, Sue, whatever you want to call it. I would highly recommend you join. Here's my TSU profile, and yeah, it rocks. So yeah, obviously, the more mainstream elements that decide to participate with TSU, Sue, um, obviously that's going to bring more and more awareness to all of the fans that follow these sorts of people. So I don't see that as a bad thing. I mean, as far as like new agers, truthers, and whoever else that are like, but we're trying to beat the elites and make a better planet and da da da. It's like, well, you don't do that by ignoring the problem. You don't do that by excluding people. The whole shun the dark thing is a logical fallacy. That's like, oh, if I ignore the roaches in the walls, then maybe they'll go away. No, they'll keep freaking breeding is what they'll do until they're all over the freaking countertops. So yeah, it's about changing the world, the environment, through being yourself and being the change, that organic change that happens one step at a time in our impatient egos, though we want it, and like, boom, now, like a bunch of toddlers, we're not going to get it. Boom, now. It's a process over time, and there's nothing wrong with it being a process over time. Things take what they take as long as we keep proceeding forward. And I do think that things are proceeding forward. I do think that more people are waking up and realizing the scams of the world and being empowered more and more to be the change that they want to create. But obviously, the 5 stages of paradigm shift are the same as the 5 stages of grief. So obviously, the first part of that's going to be like the freak out moment. So yeah, you're going to have people in that mainstream brain fog that are doing the usual mainstream thing in their brain foggy way until they proceed forward enough that they're snapped enough out of it. Even people that are, quote unquote, in the truth movement, half asleep, in my opinion, is usually worse than asleep because, at least the people who are asleep have an excuse. The people who are half asleep develop the same issue as the elites because the elites have given us their mind. So it's like, this arrogance sets in like, oh, I have a few pieces of knowledge, so I'm above all of you in the matrix. It's as retarded as saying, I know I have cancer, which means I don't have cancer anymore. But all you people that don't know you have cancer, you still have cancer. It makes no sense. So yes, as much as I can relate to the idea of, oh God, the mainstream is filled largely with garbage, and it is. There's no denying that. Most mainstream news is crap. It has been forced to get a little bit better because obviously independent media has been competing with it. So obviously it's all about a money game. So, they have to kind of roll with the trends, which is exactly the point. Who do you want to set the freaking trends? The people or the mainstream? We're finally getting to the point where the mainstream is actually being forced just a little bit, not fully completely, but just a little bit, to actually follow the will of the people instead of the will of the people always following the mainstream. Now, it's not as prevalent as most of us would like it to be, but, it's a little bit here and there, and I've been noticing that. So, there's some responsibility that you have to take in being the change you want to see in the world. And that doesn't mean running from and shunning what you don't like and what scares you. It means being the best you that you can be, getting involved, getting active, participating, and changing the freaking world, not running away from the freaking world. So you got to just develop some patience and tolerance. And tolerance, as I define it, is the awareness of the fact that you're not obligated to become emotionally compromised by fucking idiots. So yes, is the mainstream largely full of fucking idiots? Yes, at this point, it still is, abso-freaking-lutely. But we can shift that as long as we're willing to face that and stand firm in that and not run from it to be the freaking change. Alrighty. So besides color, theme change, suggestions, and people, not liking what content is being displayed where, and the little header bar and so on, groups, etc. Trying to think, is there anything else about the new TSU version 3.0 that is definitely important for? Oh yes, there is. Okay, there is actually one more thing that I wanted to make sure that I point out. It's something that was not there before, and it's definitely there now. And, I find this to be extremely convenient. And yes, it is a groups feature or channels feature, whatever you want to call it. When you make a new post, you can also have it post to Twitter, which I think is really freaking cool because it not only provides Twitter with the link that credits you, it also provides Twitter with the link to the group. So that's freaking awesome. And then there's the option show post on social feed. So now, there's been a lot of instances where I've wanted to post something to a group and to my main feed, and just couldn't do it. Had to make it as 2 posts. Now you can do that. My only other suggestion, Sebastian Zumcheck, suggestion time, is make it so that the reverse can also be true. Because what if I want to share a post, whether it's something that I posted to my feed or somebody else has elsewhere on their feed? What if I want to share that into a group? Or for that matter, what if I want to share that into more than one group? See, this little feature for posting into a group, it's all well and great when you're posting into the group and you also want to share it to your own timeline. But what about when you want to take a post from elsewhere and share it to not only another group, but maybe multiple groups? Maybe you also want to share it to your timeline too. So some extended options there. Oh, and one thing that has been desperately, desperately needed, comment replies, okay? The comment section is kind of a bit like Facebook version 1.0. There's no edit button. And so if you make a typo and you don't notice, and then it's like, oops, then you either have to delete the comment and start over, or reply to yourself and then put the correction under it with like the double asterisk after it to indicate that, yeah, it's a correction for something above. So you might want to have a feature that allows you to edit comments. That was one of the biggest beefs that people used to have with Facebook until Facebook corrected it. So I'd recommend not making the Facebook version 1.0 mistake, and to make it so that we can actually edit comments. And I'm sure you guys will eventually get around to it. I'm just, kind of bringing it to light so that it kind of stays in the forefront of your mind. I know that from time to time, Sebastian Subcheck, when he has time, does watch PSEC episodes. So I really thank him for that. So hopefully, eventually, he will see this, and I hope that this overview has been helpful to him, to the rest of the TSU staff, and to all of you out there as well, watching in Sue land and YouTube land and Facebook land and whatever other land you're watching this from. Whatever state, the state of confusion, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that's about it. So thank you for watching this, and in the near future, I will be giving the newbie overview version of this so that you can share that with your friends that you were trying to get to sign up under your network, and be like, okay, you want to know what TSU is about? Here's the video. Here's the video with the version 3 changes. And yes, Dave Kelso's a long-winded bastard and can be mildly annoying, but what he says is actually informative in the process, so it's worth tolerating his stupid ass. Okay. So thank you everybody for watching. Have a good day, night, morning, whatever it is in your part of the planet. Peace out. Catch you later.